Oh, no. Okay, edit then. Let's go with. Oh, no. I hope it's not going to make me have to come out of here. I did not realize this was going to happen. Remove. And we try another one. We try here. And it's don't worry, Tynisha. I'm having a little technical difficulty, but it's going to be okay. Hey, we are here live with a little bit of soul. Okay, wait, a whole lot of soul. Let me shake the maracas because I have to tell you, we are going through some changes. I am your host, Venus Jones, and this is only my 5th episode of the Soulful Journey live stream edition. And boy, do I have a treat for you. But here's the plus, here's the great thing. The good news is I'm learning so much through this process. Do you see the new logo? Can we shake up the maracas for the new logo? We got a little Soulful Journey in the corner now. I got rid of the duck, duck, goose. But you know what? I could have got rid of the duck, duck, goose earlier than I thought. I didn't even know how to turn the duck, duck, goose off. So live stream with StreamYard is so much fun. You know why? Because learning is so much fun. It's all about that growth mindset. And I just want to remind you what the Soulful Journey live stream is all about. So let's take a deep breath and focus on what soulful means. So it's a heartfelt, deep, and profound energy and or experience. To journey means to travel from one place to another. And this show is about deep, heartfelt discussions about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And it's a place where we can highlight memorable moments that we've had. This show is about everything and everyone that is good for the soul. And my community is comprised of open-minded, or people who strive to be open-minded, people of diverse faiths and traditions who strive to believe in themselves and you. That is what Soulful Journey is all about. That is my mission. And the reason why I do this show is to remind you of who you are, that you are an infinite soul on a temporary human stroll. Hey! I'm your host, Venus Jones, and I will begin with a poem. I will introduce my guest who will share it. We will have a conversation. We will end with some questions and answers, or we will end with possibly something special and sweet. You don't want to miss it. But right now, I have to share something that reminds me of the person that I am interviewing. So when I was reading selections from this woman's book, I thought about a poem that I wrote that I think some of you may remember, and for some of you, this is your first time hearing it. And it goes like this. I can do bad by myself. I don't need anybody else. I work day and night and day to pay the bills of yesterday. And it's okay. And it's all right. Because you know I can make wrong right without a fight. But understand that I need a complete companion. Someone who is down for the grand haul. I'm talking about that person who will pick me up when I fall. What you want isn't what you say. Your actions speak louder than your words on any given day. But you want to play me like the fool anyway? When I gave you my love and I gave you my time, but you can't spare a dime? No, it's not your lack of fun, but your dead spirit. That's what has me on the run. And I don't have room for dead weight. Since day one, I set it straight. How come you can't come correct? Is it that you're not ready yet? Now, if you would have told me up front, I would have understood that you were a boy on the threshold of manhood. But now I must question if it was all just for show. That's right. I'm getting out this game. But it's a shame. It's a shame that I no longer feel the same because my baby still cries out your name. My baby still cries out your name. I'm a single mother and I'm doing all I can. But I don't need a boy to help me raise a son. I need a man. So right now, I want to introduce you to Tynisha. And Tynisha is an amazing artist. She is an author and a poet, a lot like myself. I'm trying to pull up. I'm going to the Soulful Journey. Everybody at the Soulful Journey page already saw this nice promo of her, but she is an author. She's an eccentric soul. She has a book that I'm going to have her tell you a little bit more about, but she's not just that. She's really all about the whole person. She loves talking about health and wellness, financial literacy, and she knows a little bit about how to make a connection through social media. So let me just go ahead and introduce you, Tynisha, to my friends. Welcome, Tynisha.
Hi.
I'm so glad you are here.
Pleasure to be here.
So guess what, Tynisha? I'm actually going to step back during this part of this segment, and I'm going to let you share a poem too that you might think goes with what I was just saying with the I Need a Man poem. And we'll come back and talk about wholeness and relationships, okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to step back and give you the floor. Because you in the house. Hey, Tynisha in the house. So am I.
She's here. Hi. It's an honor to be here in front of all of you. So I'm going to start with a poem called Cold Feet, which is sort of a true story, but let me just start here. I wonder if it's normal to feel ice under my heels, to be spinning my wheels, second guessing what's real. Something old, something new. Those are the gifts that are given to you when you're all dressed up in satin shoes as the bridal party walks the aisle in twos, anticipating your special moment, sealing vows with a sacred kiss, cherishing the moments that led up to this, wedding blues or wedding bliss. Everyone throwing in their 2 cents. Wear this dress and walk like this, killing my vision of happiness and slowly making it their event. Out of the kitchen to escape the heat, too much pressure and no defeat. Your heart palpitates to an unfamiliar beat. That's what it's like to have cold feet. Are you there?
Yes, I am. I want to have you go ahead and read one more because you get a whole 5 minutes. And that one was a little quick. So can you read one more poem for us?
Yeah, sure. So I have another one that's called I Remember. This too is in regards to relationships, breakups. It's one of those that actually a lot of people can relate to. So I'll give that one to you guys as well. I remember. I remember why we separated and why I have no regrets. I remember it's always easy to forgive, but not as easy to forget. I remember being in his presence, yet I still felt all alone. I remember asking, why is he here? I'm doing everything on my own. I remember doing all the work while he reaped the benefits. I remember being good to him, but he didn't appreciate it. I remember holding conversations, hoping to be heard. I remember how he brushed me off and didn't listen to one word. I remember all the times I felt completely misunderstood. I remember thinking, why do I try? It does neither of us any good. I remember discussing a possible future, our plans, my goals, and views. I remember him showing no interest at all. He doesn't think the way I do. I remember trying to voice my concerns, making it clear that I was bored. I remember the day I got fed up, sick and tired of being ignored. I remember thinking to myself that warning was his last. I remember how he was once a present, now a product of my past. I remember thinking enough is enough, I should argue no more. I remember the day I packed my bags and headed for the door. I remember the way he stared at me with sadness in his eyes. I remember leaving peacefully and thinking, why is he surprised? I remember all the fear I felt after making my decision. I remember when loneliness set in. It wasn't an easy transition. I remember getting accustomed to doing things on my own. I remember gaining the peace of mind that comes with being alone. I remember the sense of pride I felt when I got my life on track. I remember when I walked away, there was no looking back. I remember the day he called me up, trying to redeem himself. I remember breaking the news to him. I've moved on with someone else. I remember all my loyalty. That's why I have no regrets. I remember it was just as easy to forgive, to forgive, to move on, and to forget.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tynisha. What are you reading from? Is that a book that you recently released?
It
Can you tell us
is.
more?
It is my book, Memoirs of an Intellect, which I have recently remastered. So it does have a new cover, a new feel, a whole new vibe. And
Mm.
so that'll be coming, that's coming in the next upcoming weeks. But yes, this is my book, Memoirs of an Intellect. It is poetry. And it's poetry that is a little bit about everything. It's all aspects of life, from relationships to love to disappointment, or I would say like trying to reach our dreams, obstacles, goals, all those wonderful things that make us who we are. So,
Yes, yes. And when I was listening to you, first of all, you said that was based on a true story. The first one, you were talking about being engaged and not really having that cold feet. So you planned a wedding. Can we talk about it? You planned
sure,
a wedding, but you ended up not getting married.
correct.
So did that happen like on the day of the wedding? You just when
No.
they say cold feet, you really had cold feet. It was like this is not happening.
So it didn't happen on the day of the wedding, but
It
we
was the
did.
day. It was the day of the wedding.
It was not.
Okay,
So it's not that juicy.
like the soap operas, right?
The Runaway Bride.
I was like,
Yeah, not quite.
wow.
Not
Do I know
quite.
somebody who really was a runaway bride for real? No. Okay,
Oh,
why does this cat? I was about to be a runaway bride too. Don't tell my husband. No, I'm just playing. No, we all have cold feet. I'm sure everybody. That's like a lifetime you're thinking about. But some people really don't go through it. But I'm glad we've been married 20 years. But I'm glad that we actually did. But at the same time, even I had cold feet to some extent because it's such a huge commitment. But when you said that second poem about what you remember, it reminded me of the people of some of my past relationships that thank heavens and thank the universe and all that is holy and divine that I got out of, okay,
yes.
alive. Because there are times in that poem that I recited at the beginning, it was actually based off of me too. When you wrote this book, were you still having the same mission that I have of people wanting to, when I wrote Sheroes, I was hoping that people would try to spare them of some of the mistakes that I made and
Yes,
like healthy
definitely.
relationships, right? Because that's really that poem was birthed from I Need a Man was birthed off of me just wanting men and women to be in healthy relationships and tell the truth, right? And be mature and responsible. And some of us don't always know what we want, right?
That's a
So
big part of it.
we don't some of us don't when that happens and it's very you're still learning who you are. Wow, it can impact other people. So I remember, and the things that poem was deep to me. Uh,
Thank you.
but was it? It's easy. It's easy for you to forgive. Do you think it's easy for you to forgive? Because that poem made me feel like, is it truly easy to forgive
So that's
and
a good
forget?
question because I think it's fairly easy for me to forgive.
Okay.
However, it's not that easy for me to reconcile, and it's not that easy for me to. It's very hard for me to forget, and so it comes off like I'm a grudgeful person when it's not really that. I'm forgiven, but I can't go back down that road once I'm. I guess the word would be offended or disrespected or whatever the
Right,
case
because
is.
you labeled it in that poem. You labeled what you, girl, you called it out. Okay, and I love it. It was like a laundry list. Okay. Of what is so difficult to forget. And
Yes.
that's why the ending for me is almost like, is it really easy? For me, it's easier to forgive because I grew up trained in forgiving, because I grew up in a very I don't know about you, but I grew up in church, and like school, it was church and school for me, and like it's ingrained in me to understand the importance and the power of forgiveness so that it doesn't eat me up. But to forget, girl,
Should we be forgetting?
I don't know. That's the question.
Should we be
Should we?
forgetting? Should we forget the
We can take
things
that into social
that,
justice as well. Like, is it okay to forgive and then not and to forget, or to do both? I
so
don't know always.
we've been taught to forgive, but don't forget. That's one part of it. And then some people say, well, if you forgave, then how are you still like holding on to it? So for
Mm,
me, it's just like, I don't know what we should be doing, but I can tell you what happens. Depending on the reasons why people leave, you may not need to forget some of those offenses just so that you don't bump into them again, right?
yeah,
Right. So if it's one of, and it goes back to what you said as well, dating and needs. That's something that a lot of us ignore. We don't really know what we need, right? But we think we're going to come into a relationship and fulfill someone else's needs. So that's a
yeah,
miscommunication in itself. It's also an assumption. We're assuming that we know what someone needs. And
right.
then when those needs aren't filled, it's so many pillars that fall, that bring the house down, right? So many bricks are removed and so many things happen. So back to the forgiving part, I believe sometimes also like forgiveness can look easy because after you've walked away, all people see is, oh, that was brave, you were strong, whatever.
Mm,
But I think we forget that sometimes in tumultuous relationships, the forgiving is happening while you're in the relationship. So by the time you walk away, you kind of already got over it while you were in it. Is that a possibility, you think, for some people?
I think for some, yeah, yeah. But in abusive relationships, that cannot be as healthy. Like, to be forgiving so quickly. And that's kind of how they can manipulate you, because you are a forgiving person, and they know that. Uh, so my question then, I guess, is, I have to get into some of these soul chat questions. Is like, what sparked you, right, to leave that? Because there's some people who still in it. They still in that cycle of forgiveness, but they don't know how to move to the next thing that is good for the soul and the body and the mind, right? So how do you do that, or how did you do that?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say,
Was
I
there a
think
moment that
like
happened that
that
made
might
you leave that
depend
relationship?
on.
Somebody that you're engaged to?
Well, no, so two different experiences, but I remember I can go there because I'll be honest, like that poem was about a particular relationship, but it kind of wasn't. Like some part, like the foundation was kind of what I was going through at the time. But then the other parts, as I'm writing it, it's like all the relationships,
Mm,
all the ones you had to walk away from, all
okay.
the times that we've been told we need to forgive and forget, and it just hasn't been that easy. And then some of the times where the last time you go through that, it's just like it's not even about the other person as much as it is about your own self-worth at that point, right? Because even if it's not abuse, let's say like abuse, like we think of like physical abuse, emotional, verbal, but what about if it's like you're in a relationship and you're not being heard?
Okay.
You know what I mean? You're not being heard, or sometimes not even seen.
Right.
So I don't know if you call that abuse, but I think it should be unacceptable. And so that's kind of a lot of that poem. It was those emotions that sparked it, like just sometimes knowing that it's time to go, but still trying to hold on,
Yeah.
having a hard time detaching, and some of that comes from, let me just try it again. Maybe if we try it this way and that way, and it's just time to go. Like everything's telling you it's over. And then finally you walk away. And then you realize it really wasn't that hard. I kind of just had to, maybe instead of putting all my energy into fixing the relationship, maybe I just needed to put that into myself. And then once you do that, walking away isn't so much walking away from the person as it is walking into what's good for you on the other side of that relation, on the other side of that.
Can I see the title of your book again?
Yeah, sure.
Because there's a key word on there that in this conversation that I'm going back to, and that word is intellect. When we think of intellect, it's critical thinking. And in relationships, sometimes love can get in the way and make the thoughts, I think, fuzzy. Because we think that some people believe you really, to love someone means that it has to be, okay, I'm thinking about this Sunday. I have forgot that, because I'm not a huge, I'm in my own world a lot of the times, Tynisha. This is me reaching out to friends and new friends, because again, you came highly recommended. Okay, shout out to Lizzie.
Thanks, Lizzie.
I love when I get recommendations of people who are good for the soul, and sure enough, you are. I can see it in your smile. Okay, so and I love your book because and your poems already see how much they got me thinking.
Oh,
and
awesome.
Like that word intellect. Some people what is it? Memoirs of an intellect.
Memoirs of an Intellect.
So did someone call, because people call us a lot of things. What's the biggest lie that someone has called you? And you said, no, honey, because I'm an intellect. Okay. But what was the lie that someone told you where you could have been still stuck in some stupid?
Well, can you ask me that question again?
What is the biggest lie that someone has told you about yourself?
So I've been called so many things. It's so funny because I posted a meme about that like a couple weeks ago. Like, and it said something along the lines of people call you crazy until it works, and then you're a genius. Right. And so then my caption was something along the lines of, you are what you answer to. You are what you answer to. They can call you anything, right?
Tynisha,
they may be right.
Tynisha, you have to slow down for me, because I may not be as big of an intellect as you think, but I'm in this conversation with you. Okay, you got to slow down for some of us. Okay, because I'm still stuck on. You said they call you crazy until it works, and then you're a genius. I need you to break that down. What does that mean?
That means, okay, so let's just take any idea, right? So let's say I had this thing at one point, and it's still there, where I was like, I'm gonna move to another country. I'm gonna live abroad, and I probably said that, like, I know I said it to my mom. She was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, you know what I mean? And so it was the craziest thing. So
I see.
I'll go here. I'll go here.
Okay.
I'm going to write a book. You're crazy. That's crazy. I don't know anybody who's written a book. You're not Danielle Steele. Okay. You're not Terry McMillan. Write a book. You're crazy until you do it, and you call yourself an intellect. Yes. And then you're a genius.
Come on. Okay. I get it now. All day. All day.
You're what you answer to, not what they call you. I've been called worse by better. I don't do the name calling because I am a writer and I have words for days. So if you start with me in that war of name calling, you're going to lose.
Okay, but listen, what about family though? What about family? Because you know family, and I hate to call one of my family, but one of my cousins, he came on my social media recently, and he was like, "Y'all fools, da 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 da," you know. But then he ended it with "love you."
Yes.
So it was one of those backhand compliments.
Yes.
Do you feel like with family it's different though? Like they like that's like their way of like. I feel like with our family, they knew us as they knew us at a different time, right? Like if they're like us, then they are constantly evolving, but unfortunately some are not. But you get my point. Like, do you let family off the hook with calling you certain things?
Some family, that's how we get along. That's the only way we get along. So where I'm from, we call it either Jones in, or we're like cracking jokes. Like, so a lot of my cousins, I'm like that. I'm like really jokey. So a lot of my cousins, if I see them and we're not name calling, like it's something wrong. You know what I mean? Shout out Jovi.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
mean,
so no, family, you're right. Family's off the
too.
hook.
Going back to
Yes.
what you answer to, that doesn't necessarily mean you answering to it though. Like,
Nah, not really. When
and you
people
get
are
on
being
that side
nasty,
eye.
when people are being nasty, and so we can use words like we can use the same word in a different context and instantly it can turn offensive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when the undertone is being nasty,
Right.
then it's definitely what you answer to. Because you
Mm-hmm.
can't answer to everything, right? Because then you're stooping yourself down to the insults and falling into that. But
Right.
if it's in good faith and it's all in fun and it's good energy and the context is from a positive place, then it's all day long. It's fun. It's laughter, right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not taking things personally, right? And it's all in love, fun.
Well, you know what? This is a segment of the show that I did not prep you for, but I'm hoping there's something close by you. I forgot to tell you about this segment. We have a little bit of a show and tell. Is there something that you can show us that means something to you, like an artifact? I don't know. It could be a teacup near you. It could be that painting behind you. I don't know. Something that you can show us and tell. Do like a show. Did you ever do show and tell growing up?
A long time ago.
Part of this soulful journey is like the things that mean something to us that we don't always reflect on, but they might be around us in our space, and you forget. Oh, so and so gave me that.
I've got two.
Or okay. Oh, and if you're watching, thank you for watching. Please let us know if you have any questions in the chat for Tynisha, or let me know what you think about forgiveness and forgetting. Let me know what you think about name calling.
I'd love to hear what people think about forgiveness and name calling. So one is this.
Ooh,
An
time.
hourglass. Time. I'm always like toying around with that. The concept of time versus like actual time, right? And colored people time. Time heals all things.
Who gave you that?
It was a gift from my best friend.
What's her name? Shout out.
It's a guy. His name's Amir.
Oh,
Shout out.
and he gave you that. And was it your birthday?
I believe it was birthday last 2 years ago.
And when you first received that gift, oh, you got another one. You're doing two show and tells. So between the time of the world, the globe, between the globe and the concept of time. Tell me.
Oh man, like so you can equate that so many ways, like history, or like history is all about the time frame, right? For me, it's so broad. Like sometimes the only way history can make sense is looking at the map and paying attention to when it happened, right?
Hey.
But then the other part is I want to travel. You can't do that overnight. And you also probably can't plan it overnight unless you're really fortunate. So all wonderful things come in time. Two of my favorites right here.
Okay.
Oh, also name calling, right? 7 whole continents. So when one person tries to call you out your name, you don't like it. There's like billions of other people. I think like 7 billion of them, just in case. Just in case. So it reminds you to keep your mind open and broad. We don't have to be stuck anywhere in any mindset or anything. We don't have to be stuck in time either. So it's so many ways you can go with this, but these are 2 of my favorites. So thank you for asking me.
But you said something. You said something that you were like, when you think about leaving on a jet plane, some days though, I feel like I can't just get up and don't pack, get on the, but like you said, you got to have the means for that. But you get on the first bus, you get on the first plane out of here. Some people do it every day. They don't hardly pack nothing. But that's like an act of some serious faith.
I admire them.
Others plan everything out. And yeah, I don't know if you've ever done anything like that. But what do you have to remind yourself of when you are thinking of taking a leap of faith? What's the last leap of faith that you took on your journey?
Good one. So many reminders. And funny thing is, like, I'm just coming into like acknowledging some of that, right? Because not to get overwhelmed is one. Like, don't get overwhelmed. Reminding yourself that the closer you get to your goal, sometimes that's the hardest to keep
Mm.
pushing, keep going, right? Those things, like separating what shows up as doubt from what we might in the moment think is our reality. Like, that's really hard when you're pushing towards something, because it can get so difficult and you start to believe that you can't do it. You know what I mean? So that's the doubt, and the reality is when you say to yourself, like, I am doing this. You know what I mean? Like the affirmations. So
Yes,
that saved me a
so
lot.
those
That saved me a lot.
affirmations help you.
A lot. Yes.
You know
That
what?
saves
I don't
me
know if you
now.
know this, because I know you're still learning, you're still getting to know me. But one of my goals was to be an affirmation queen, and I have, very few people know. Some people don't know this. Some people know this about me. Some people don't. But believe it or not, I have an affirmation app that's been downloaded in like 90 countries.
No way. That is awesome. Can you like
And
tell us?
I created the poems because it was like a way for me to, because I used to be an actress. And I used to, and there's a lot of rejection in that business. And I remember one of my coaches once told me, he had me looking in the mirror. His name was Bob Collier. I'm sure he's transitioned at this point, but he was an older gentleman. This was almost maybe 20 years ago. He was like, would have me look in the mirror and he would say, you have me saying, I am happy, I am healthy, and I'm terrific, all of these things, right? And I'm making big money in commercials right now. And I was just like laughing at that last part because it's like, that's lying to yourself in a way, right?
Right. Doesn't it feel so weird at first?
But we lie to ourselves all day with the I'm
The
crazy, I'm
negativity.
stupid. But when you flip it and say something that you're visualizing, I do think there is still power in that. And I think that when you said affirmations help with the leap of faith, that's a good reminder. But my app is based off of the holiday of Kwanzaa, and I have different poems in there for everybody, like for faith, and I put these little mantras on there. But I just feel like when you think about affirmations, yes, it definitely can help you through those transitional periods where you want to think about how much time is this going to take. I love that time. I wish I knew where you got that big old time thing. That's a big. I've seen little ones, but I've never seen one that big like that. I got a little globe over here too, girl. I got a little globe over here too. But yeah, I love how you remind people that the world is waiting and the time is now, right? And it's right there in front
Oh,
of you in your living room, right? To remind you.
right.
I love that.
Time is now. That's true. Very
Mm.
true. Um,
So I want to ask you, what's been good for your soul lately? Like, what have you been doing? Is there anything that you did this week that made you smile?
so,
It's the pandemic, and you looking good, girl. The pandemic look good on you.
well, thank
I'm
you. I
just
tried.
saying.
Well, one thing I've been staying in the house, COVID. But aside from that, let me see. So I've been working on my relational wealth, right? My relationships, like, but not in the way that I did it in the past. Like in the way in the past, it was my friends, and they have events, and you show up and you support them, or if you need to vent, you call your friends, and that still happens. But I think like now though, I'm having a different level of respect for people's time. A lot of
Mm,
my friends have kids and husbands, and I don't have that. So I have a lot of freedom. So respect for time. The other thing, my relational wealth is like, I would say the accountability aspect, like placing myself in circles where it's comfortable for women or the people in your circle to hold each other accountable, but coming from a place of propelling each other,
mm-hmm.
right? Um, Being into groups where relational wealth is something that was really hard for me at one point. Because you do have so many trust issues based on your personal experiences, and then you start to isolate yourself, right? Well, I did start to isolate a little bit, and so getting into
Can you
manipulation.
define relational wealth though again? And how is that you said?
So just basically focusing on those things, like not necessarily from a romantic standpoint though, but just overall, and not necessarily a business standpoint either. But put it like this. So I think what's happening now is I'm attracting a different set of friendships that are requiring something different from me. But it's not like a requirement, like an obligation, as much as it is like you kind of just fall into yourself. And then the more you do that, you kind of attract all these different versions of yourselves. And then back in the day, it would have been called friends. And today, I just don't know about those titles. It's more like, I don't know, sisterhood or relational wealth.
Yeah.
It aligns. That's what it is.
Right, where
It
you
aligns.
feel like the relationship is I love the word reciprocity, where it's like
Yes.
it's a give and take versus just a take.
Yep.
We've all been there.
And then organically also, instead of sometimes feeling forced.
I got it.
Now things are kind of happening organically, and I'm not even thinking about it. But now I have like new friends, and I'm like, oh wow, like
Yeah,
that feels
I'm
good.
your new friend.
Right?
I'm your new friend.
Oh, I love that. We have so much in common. Like it's organically, right?
Yes, we do have a lot in common between the poetry, the writing of the books, and stretching ourselves with this idea of growth. But the financial literacy, I want to get into that because everybody likes to have that money conversation, or if they don't know, they think about it. Maybe they don't have as many as they should with someone who must have. I feel like maybe you have had some success, obviously, with financial literacy. And can you define what that means? Because you put that in your bio. So what does financial literacy look like for you and for Black and brown people in this country? Like what vision do you have for yourself and your community?
Oh, so the financial literacy for me, the way it looks right now is sort of scary for brown people, Black people. I'm gonna say Black people, but because I think that I've learned that money is a mindset. And I feel like, particularly if you've been raised like, and I'm not gonna say everybody, but like in the church or religious, it almost feels like long suffering is normal, and you're guilty for having money or asking money or loving money. That was an affirmation I had to keep saying for so long. Like, I love money. Money flow, because it felt so weird. Like I shouldn't be saying that. I shouldn't be loving money, because I just think we've been taught wrong. And so that's why we don't have as much as the people, maybe as other groups of people. So the literacy can change things. It's changing your mind. It's changing the way you look at money. It's understanding things about it that you didn't know before. Understanding things that can propel you forward financially. Understanding the difference between liabilities and assets. It's too many times that we're taught to praise liabilities, things that don't bring any value to you, and we don't have enough assets because we really don't know the difference. You know what I mean? Like, so just starting with the basics, and then catching my audience as they grow, and then kind of growing. Is there
a book or author around that subject that was eye-opening for you?
I actually work at the bank, so I'm around it 40 hours a week. I see it. I'm taught this. Like, it's like the best thing.
As a teller or as an account manager? What?
I work at a bank. I don't want to say the name of the bank, but
don't say.
Yeah, I work like in the credit card department. So you definitely understand finances from a different perspective when you're around it every day.
Yeah,
it's really like business lending is what it is. So I work in business lending. So it opens my eyes to everything, which I love, by the way, because I like to learn. And the more you know about money, and it's a spiritual side of it too. You have to know you deserve it and all those things. But the more you know about money, how it operates, how it works, that it is energy. That's something I was never taught growing up. I learned that, late in life. So that part of the literacy I would love to share with those who are interested, because it's not even anything that's that new. It's just probably a lot of misinformation or just not having the information at all.
So with the literacy, wow, maybe I think there's another book in you.
I think so too.
Around that, especially being
the money
you are and the experiences that you've had with that. I'm sure you have a lot to impart Because you're right. I mean, I remember growing up hearing messages like, a rich man can't get through to heaven through the eye. It's just like trying to go through an eye of a needle, and that stuck in my head. Or like money is the root of all evil, kind of things. But we also know that with good people, we can do great things with money. But we have to be able to. We have to be able to be willing to welcome it, not lust after it, and make it our God, which we know some people doing. But that other part, like you said, of being able to welcome it, some people not even at that level.
Right. And I'm telling you, it took me a long time to like, it was so bad that like I had a hard time. Like I went through a really rough patch at one point, and it was so hard for me to even ask for help, like to receive people, like to get like where you need help in order to get where you're going sometimes. Like nobody gets anywhere on their own, right? But it's so difficult to like ask for help, to receive help, because for one, you get so conditioned to doing things yourself where, you kind of don't really need it in that way. But then also like, it's like a shame behind it. It's a shame behind not having enough and needing help. I don't know. It was so weird. So all that stuff goes in the trash, and I replace it with like my affirmations. And the funny thing about that is like you said, it's so weird, affirmations at first sometimes, especially if it's something foreign, because you think you're lying to yourself. Like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm lying. Like, this isn't, why am I doing this? But the more you
that
do
mirror work, it work. That mirror works
because what happens is you walk right into what you say. You walk right into what you say. You become exactly what you say. The power of words, Miss Venus.
Yes. The power of words and the power of play. And it's almost that time. I want to play with you a little bit. I want to maybe do a little piece, because I think if there was like, this is a question I'm almost scared to ask, because it's kind of feels like, but I was trying to come up with more soul chat questions, and this is a question I think we all should have the answer to, and it may change during our time here, but no day but today. And I have to ask this. You'll be the first guest I've ever asked this to, but it was in a commercial once, so it can't be that bad. If you were to have a tombstone, because everybody don't want one, but if you were to have one, what would be written on it?
Oh man, that's an excellent question, because I actually never thought about that. Wow. So maybe something like, oh, that's a good one. Because you got to think.
Okay. You don't have to answer it right now.
Wow. So it would definitely be like co-creator and like hire she. Like, I don't know the words, because
co-creator, hire she. Ooh,
co-creator.
You have a poem called Hire She, right?
I do. Okay,
I
so
like
we'll go
that.
there.
I've never heard that.
Awesome question, though.
I never heard that except from you.
Oh, really?
I've never heard
entire poem. I'll just read like the last segment.
Please.
Okay.
And can I play a little bit with you?
Yes, we'll collaborate here.
Okay.
It's all copacetic.
Yeah. Ooh, you must have heard my poem.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, and I loved it.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
I have evolved and grown, and I no longer try to live this life on my own. Instead, I read and seek ways to get closer to the supernatural force that drives me, reminds me to keep striving, because I know he's residing, providing knowledge and wisdom, so I can be the higher she, the she whom she was created to be.
Hey! That higher she, the she that she was created to be. That is the goal. Oh, I feel like that could be the tombstone too.
Oh, it could be.
The she that she was created to be.
Ooh, she was created to be.
Actually,
yes.
It's a.
So you're making me think now. I wasn't thinking about that, but that's an awesome question.
Yeah.
We're too afraid to talk about death anyway, right? So most people
I know, but isn't that part of life? And especially when there's so much going on around us, so many people in transition from different things, from cancer to COVID to just it's their time, and one might say it's always their time, but I'm just like, it makes me more appreciative of these moments. And
Mm-hmm.
like to think about wanting to spend more time, the older I get, wanting to spend more time in deep conversation and learn these lessons from other people about what has been keeping you here and in purpose and living on principle, as I like to say. And you are doing an amazing job. You already have a book that obviously people can pick up years from now. Some one of the deepest things I've ever heard is someone said that sometimes your biggest supporter or the person, your greatest reader of your book hasn't been born yet. Whoa.
Whoa, that just blew me away, sort of, right? That's kind of deep if you think about it.
Yeah. And
Yes,
that's real. That's
that's
real because
very real.
and that's why I applaud you on getting that book done. And you said something that was interesting to me that it has had two lives. You said it's a what was the first life of this book?
So this is the first version.
But you said there was a different version. I thought you said
So
no.
I
I mean,
remastered it. I remastered it actually in
what
July
does
of
that
this year.
mean to them? Read to remaster a
So I
book. I
re-released
heard of
it.
remastering an album, but to remaster a book,
Ah,
darling, you got to break that down for me.
remastered this book. So basically, I re-released it. I have a brand new publisher. Shout out to Stay Out Your Lane
Whoa.
Publishing. I have a brand new cover. I have a brand new feel, and also have an ebook as well. So the ebook is available for immediate download if anybody's in, for all those who are interested. It's on my website, tinishasanders.com. At the Tynisha Sanders, my Instagram is there. But the new book, let me see if I can just find it really quickly. But the new book has a whole different feel. My ebook actually has like art and pictures, which I love, by the way. My publisher did an amazing job. So and then my hard copy will be available no later than the end of the year. Maybe the end of the month, as soon as the end of the month. But yeah, so I'll be doing pre-sales on my website soon. But it's here, and so it definitely here is alive and well and
And how
waiting.
can we how can we stay in touch and follow you?
Instagram at the Tynisha Sanders, Facebook at the Tynisha Sanders, Pinterest at the Tynisha Sanders.
I see.
And
Okay.
then my website is www.tinishasanders.com.
Well, this has been so much fun. I
It
am
really has
so
been.
happy that you came on to have a soul chat with me, and we got to have a really good one. I feel like you had me thinking a lot about so many different things. We talked about more than I thought we would. And to be whole is a practice, and I feel like you are definitely working towards that higher she, and so am I. So thank you for being here, Tanisha. I know this took some level of faith because you just heard that I was good, and I heard that you was good, or and so that sometimes this, when we come together, it's for the good, and that is what's most important. So I wish you nothing but continued success, and just continue to do you, okay?
I
And
will.
I think that's for real.
This has been so fun. It's been fantastic being here, Venus. Thank you so much. And we'll definitely be in touch because we do have a lot in common. And I'm so interested in your work and what I've heard and seen so far. I've been like, just, I can't wait to get here. So I'm so excited to talk to another poet, another woman of the same caliber. Like, you have a very outgoing energy, which is like, I'm very drawn in, and that's pulling me in as well. So the entire thing has been great. It's like much better than I expected. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, you know, I know now that you like that poem copacetic, and for those who don't know, you can see that poem on my website, which is Venus Jones. And there's a template there too to help you download things on how to continue to spread hope and healing, like myself and Tanisha, because the world needs more messages about hope and healing now more than ever. And yeah, so thank you so much, Tanisha. Don't be a stranger.
I won't. I won't. And listen, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. It's been my pleasure sharing the space with your friends. And hopefully now my friends know who you are. And so let's continue to spread the light.
Indeed, indeed. So yes, I am. I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any questions. So before we leave, I don't think we have any questions, but you all know how to reach Miss Tynisha, the Tynisha Sanders, and I'm so grateful for you. So I am going to uh, say goodbye for now, and I want to now just let you all know that we are going to have an amazing author and another specialist around financial literacy, and he knows a lot about that too, is Nathaniel. Nathaniel will be our guest next week, and you don't want to miss it. This man comes up with some of the best quotes that I have ever heard, and I'm like, "Is that your quote?" And he's like, "Yeah." But I'm like, how do you come up with these quotes? So we're gonna dig deeper into how he comes up with the quotes that he comes up, because he's one of the most. I'm always retweeting and resharing some of the quotes that he comes up with. That's why I definitely wanted him on the show. So you don't want to miss next week with Nathaniel, and he's just an amazing person. So until next time, I'm sending you so much love and light, my friend, because I strive to be always divine to those who men. Just remember to keep looking up and to keep looking out. And if you do, you'll have a lot less fear and a lot less doubt. Thanks for watching. Peace.